Hello, welcome to the track e-commerce, how hard can it be? I think in the program it was announced as why all the e-commerce companies are now tech companies. For all the people here in the room that are frequent readers of Kassenzone.de and have seen once or twice one of my presentations, it's probably kind of boring because big parts of those presentations were built in here. For all the developers who've never seen Kassenzone.de content, it's probably interesting stuff. So what I want to explain you a little bit is what happened in the last years in e-commerce and what happened from a company point of view, and why all the C-level people now are saying, okay, we don't want to be a retailing company or a merchant company anymore. We'd like to be like a tech company. And what does it mean in the daily business? In my introduction talk this morning, I explained this picture already. It looks a little bit academic, and it is academic. It's a very famous value chain of Porter. That is actually the org chart of C-levels in bigger companies. So there's usually, you have primary activities, and for every primary activity in an organization, you have one board member. There's a board member for logistics, a board member for operations, a board member for outbound logistics, for marketing and sales. And there's in this value chain, it's called support activities. You can see it up there. Oh, pointer doesn't work. There's all this stuff that is not creating any value for the company, but it's only helpful and necessary to do logistics, operations, and outbound. And in there, you see one little field. It's called tech development. And there's usually one board member responsible for all the support activities. And now, these companies, and I'd say it doesn't matter if it's like merchant companies or retailers, wholesale companies. So it's more or less a very, very similar value chain. These companies are saying essentially right now that all these primary activities don't add enough value these days anymore. They'd like to have the tech department become more and more important and like turn the value chain around. And that is something actually very, very hard to do, and something they're failing with these days. So now it comes the boring part for the people who already saw this kind of presentation. I kind of designed this chart, I think, like 2 years ago, and for explaining retailing audience how the business models and e-commerce changed during the last years. And I selected 6 very, very common business models. One is a marketplace business model, very common. One is a pure play business model, pure play retailing models where online first companies, online only companies are purchasing stuff from manufacturers and selling it to customers. Then the third model is the intermediary model, which is known here as Idealo.de, is probably the most important example in Germany. Mail order companies, Quelle, Otto, Neckermann. Brick and mortar, those companies with a store outside, MediaMarkt, Thalia, and manufacturers. So the question is now, how did those companies, how did those business models look at the e-commerce topic at 1998, 2005, and 2015? And it's very important to understand how they perceived the market and what was their what was their reception of the market, and why did they choose a very, very specific strategy. And it's important to understand it's important to explain, because that helps to understand why several companies are acting kind of weird these days. Let's look at marketplace companies. That's very easy to explain. The thumbs up means they perceive the market as very attractive. When you ask Amazon in 1998 or eBay in 1998 what they think about e-commerce, they would have said, yeah, it is a great opportunity for us. It will grow to a tremendous turnover and revenue. So actually 1998, 2005, and 2015, for this kind of business model, everything worked out pretty fine. So it's by far the best winning business model in e-commerce for what we've seen worldwide for the last 15 years. The only thing that changed in the last 10 years is that 10 years ago, at 2005, there were other marketplaces around, like Yatego, Trattoria, Rakuten, and others, that tried to claim a specific niche, a spot for themselves, and explain, okay, we can do better than Amazon or eBay for, I don't use used car parts, for example. Then there were some other auction companies, for example, like Hood, and there were like dozens of those companies. But they, from a business model point of view, those companies looked very, 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 very optimistic to e-commerce. Other was a pure play market. In like 1998 and 2005, everything worked out fine. The idea was for those business models and for the investors of those business models that in the future, you will find category leaders and category winners for each assortment, for each niche. For diapers, for example, for car parts, and there will be a category winner for toys online. And it will look like the same. It will look like the brick and mortar stores on the street. There's a store for diapers, there's a store for books, and there's a store for consumer electronics, and there's a store for mattresses, whatever. And the general idea behind this concept of pure play companies was that until they reach a decent level of turnover and revenue, let's say like 50 million or 100 million, the expectation was that there would have been enough customers and enough purchasing powers of the company that the economies of scale would work out. So it's, in essence, it means that the customer acquisition costs would go down, or that they could make exclusive sourcing deals with the manufacturers. But those economics actually, for the most businesses we know, and some of the businesses that are big today here in Europe or Germany, even like very big ones like Notebooks Billiger or Cyberport, those economics never worked out because the market has proven that there's barely, or that there's actually very, very low customer loyalty when it comes to purchasing decisions online. And it's very, very hard to find loyal customers that go again and again in the same store at Windel.de, for example, or cyberport.com or Brands for Friends to purchase a specific kind of good. Though loyalty never worked out, and having like big purchasing power never worked out because the leading company in the market for most assortments, Amazon, shaped the market in a way that was very hard to create any margin out of purchasing product from manufacturers, from a manufacturing company, and selling it to a customer. So like this is like the sum is moving like down right now. We are involved in a couple of mergers and acquisitions projects from very big e-commerce companies in Germany, and mostly we do things. Those companies kind of managed to make money and reached a margin of 2, 3, 4, 5, sometimes 10%, which is way lower than the expectation 10 years ago. They expected to reach a profit of 30% after taxes. Or the company had, all the companies have not find a way to make any money. And that's actually a very sad thing to say. The consolidation in this business model, in this market, just started like 2 years ago. Much more interesting were intermediaries. That's how I started in the market. They create a lot of value before the Amazon and Google monopoly here in Germany. I think most of you knew about like Billiger.de and Günstiger.de and other those intermediate portals, which we used to get an overview who is offering the product I'm searching for the best price and service spot. But after a couple of years, Google started actually to push those intermediary platforms out of the market. So it was very hard to purchase new customers for the intermediary because they were in the SEO, SEA game. They had a trick how to convince customers for the platform for a very cheap way. And on the other side, it was getting harder and harder for them to sell the clicks to the pure play companies or to Amazon, because those companies became more experienced in the SEO and SEA game itself. And today it's a total disaster. Even like the biggest intermediaries here in Germany are failing to grow, and most are on a downturn. There are some niches and some Some are upcoming. There are some intermediaries on social, which do have more like a social network approach. But actually, the business model sucks. And when I started my corporate career in 2005 at the Otto Group, we thought that would be like a great idea to start new business models that only work with data and manipulating data and create like new customer experience on the front end and to sell the customers to the next retailer. Though this is like clearly thumbs down. Mail order actually worse. They kind of missed the market in 1998. They had like very non-sophisticated websites. But a couple of years later, the mail order companies, they thought, okay, I do have customers that I do serve via distance selling. They're sitting at home, they are using the catalog, and then they're taking their telephone or their Faxgerät or whatever, and send me an order. And I do have warehouses all over the country from which I can ship my stock. And I do have very sophisticated marketing capabilities. I can do cohort analysis. I can send different catalogs to different customers, and so I should be winning this game. Though when e-commerce is going to grow, I will be kind of on the winning side of the game. And the market has proven that it was the worst thing that could happen to mail order companies was e-commerce. Because when you look at an e-commerce, and now remember the value chain I showed you, the mail order companies, they did have the classic value chain: purchasing, logistics director, marketing director, sales director. But they kind of faced the competition from Amazon and other pure play companies that only focused on a little bit on purchasing, but mostly on tech. And there was actually no similarities between those two companies, and they kind of faded out of the market. The only company left, which is important in B2C in e-commerce, is Otto, which is today much more like an e-commerce company than a mail order company, because 90% of the traffic, 90% of the revenue is explained by e-commerce these days. Oh, another thumbs down. Pretty much the same brick and mortar. They thought about the market that it was kind of new competition was coming up, and these new competition had to be fought, and is bad. And when I remember press releases from 2005, e-commerce had a very bad reputation. It was like, if you buy online, you buy probably like fake products. So at eBay, there's only bad merchants offering their products. It's all fake. It's very bad. You need touch products. Then in 2005 to 2012, there was kind of this multi-channel, omni-channel dream. As far as I'm offering my services through brick and mortar and through online and mobile, everything will work out very well for my company, because there must be synergy effects. When a customer does experience the great media market environment in a brick and mortar store, he's probably, it's very likely that he will open MediaMarkt.de just in case he'd like to purchase his next digital camera. And this never happened. This kind of customers is actually non-existent in the data. There's no multi-channel customers, no omni-channel customers. So customers are super unloyal in the online channel. Though most these omni-channel dreams, and there are a few left, busted in the last year. And most of the companies kind of closed down their stores, closed their operations, and stopped investing in this kind of business model. And now they're rethinking a little bit what kind of value are they going to offer through the channels in the future. A little bit different here. Manufacturers thought of manufacturers even today. If you go to a manufacturer with like 300 million in revenue in Germany, there's probably only one person who knows a little bit about e-commerce, and this is the person who is responsible for doing the negotiation with Amazon. But on a general level, on an executive level, there's no know-how, and therefore they for a long time they actually fought e-commerce very hard and thought, okay, there's no way for us here to survive. There's only like fake products from China. we'd like to get our old market back. And it turned a little bit around in the last years when those direct selling strategies emerged. And those manufacturers found out that it might be a good idea if you have a good brand to offer them to offer your customers an online shop and to offer them your products with an kind of additional kind of service, better pricing strategy, or whatever. So this is only like 6 business models, and there are, I don't know, like 20 other business models. But it shows you that it depends a little bit on what time you choose. The perception of e-commerce for those different companies and markets was very different for different time frames. And for today, out of these 6 business models, there seems to be only 2 winners: marketplaces and brands. And I thought a lot when I left the Otto Group that it would be like the best thing to be into the brand business, because if you boil that down to one chart, we had like this one. It explained, we actually used this chart to explain our board members how e-commerce works and tell them, okay, in retail, it's a little bit, or in brick and mortar, it's a little bit, you're choosing the retailer first. You're going to Media Market or you're going to Thalia. And at this retailer, you're choosing the product or the brand. And then you're finishing the purchasing process. In e-commerce, it's totally different. In e-commerce, you're choosing your product first. You're going to different product review websites. You're reading all the reviews at Amazon.de. You're probably going to Google and searching for the new digital camera or whatever you want. It's a little bit different for other assortments, for fashion example, but usually it's like a very transactional focused process. And then, when you have finished your product search, you're choosing the retailer, and it's a totally different game. Then the retailer is only like the fulfillment bitch. Yeah, they're only like offering you the stock for the best available price and service at your doorstep. And in this picture, brands are winning. In either purchasing process, brands do have the winning position. In the classic purchasing process, you're searching for the brand in the store, and in the online first process, you're searching for the brand first or for the product. And this kind of changed in the last years because of one important player, and this is Amazon. This is the annual online sales of the largest US retailers. And you can see here, there's one clear winner. And Amazon is doing, I think this 2015, they reported 107 billion in sales, which does not include marketplace revenue. So the real revenue of Amazon is more or less like 130, maybe 140 billion euros, minus the service revenue. And the interesting thing here is, when I started at Otto in 2005, we thought, okay, we kind of fucked up. We did not invest enough in technology. We did not invest enough in marketing people. We did not invest enough in online capabilities. Okay, let's invest. And all the other companies here on this chart, Staples, Walmart, Office Depot, Sears, which were brick and mortar companies in the US, they thought the same. They thought, okay, how can we fight Amazon? Let's invest in all these capabilities in the technology game. And they started at least they started the investment end of 2009, 2010. And the most interesting thing here is, and this is something we're going to see like worldwide, none of these companies like Staples or Walmart kind of managed this kind of competition. They were not able to turn around the companies into a stadium or into a business that was able to fight back and to get revenue back from Amazon. And that's why Walmart, for example, they proposed 1 year ago that they're going to spend 1 billion now per year in an anti-Amazon strategy to build marketplaces and all the other stuff, which is ridiculous small amount of money if you compare it to the overall Walmart revenue. And then those people started, and that's what we did also did. So what's the difference? So why is a company like Amazon or Google or Facebook those successful, and then the platform view kind of emerged in the market? The platform view is so actually the purchasing process kind of changed. So brands are not the winner anymore, but this kind of view emerged in the market. Though it's not Amazon is not a retailer, Facebook is not a social network, Apple is not like a product company. It's platforms. It's called the GAFA economy. So Google, Amazon, Facebook, Apple, and now these days it's Alibaba. Though companies like MediaMarkt and Thalia and Otto kind of realized that they're fighting in a game they are not prepared for to fight in. They're fighting in a platform and technology game, and they need to change their strategy to be part of this game. And when they are, and in some companies, and I think it's by far the majority of the companies in the market, by some companies, they would argue against this vision. They'd say, we are not in the game against Amazon. Our business is more service-based. We are talking with the customers. We are offering like a totally different customer perception. So we are not in the Amazon game, which is not true from my point of view. And the reaction usually, if like people are realizing that they are in a game they were never prepared for, is like this. They are kind of panicking and saying, okay, what can we do? Can we like fight Amazon? Is there like something we can do from a political side? This is something you're going to find from during the Christmas season. There's lots of let's fight against Amazon and let's fight against like all the transportation and logistics services because they are ruining our cities. But usually it doesn't work, or we haven't seen at least that it works. And then they're starting to think, okay, what can we do? We need to find new business models. We need to find new value propositions for our customers. And at the end of the day, they're coming up with charts like this. This is kind of a rating chart. I created this morning, though it might be not 100% perfect. But they're coming to the conclusion: okay, do we want to have like a shop business or an auction business or a shopping club business or a daily deal business like Groupon or marketplace business? Let's rate them at the dimensions growth, which business model is growing per market, for example, profit, complexity in terms of how many different parties do you have to interact with. Of course, a marketplace is a very difficult product because you have to engage with customers and with the merchant side, and you have to bring them on your platform, and you kind of have this chicken egg problem. And overall, you're coming to a conclusion that is saying, okay, marketplace, because it has a green thumb up and is growing like hell and is very profitable, that's a game to be in. So usually, if you go these days in business development department at the companies that are tackled by Facebook, Amazon, and Google, you will find like this marketplace proposition a lot. Okay, the next step is then, okay, the people and the C-level members are deciding, let's be a marketplace company, a tech-first marketing company. What do we need? What is missing? And then they're going to read books from Eric Ries, Lean Startup, and all the other stuff that are explaining how business model building and team building is working out in the e-commerce industry. And then they kind of come to this conclusion: you need a good idea, which is done. Yeah, we have decided for marketplace, so it's pretty clear. So we've done a lot of work, a lot of research put into this, a lot of thoughts. Then we have to create out of the marketplace a good product. Yeah, so it's not just the idea, though. It needs a nice name. It needs a nice brand. So it needs to be very cool. And if we like connect it with a good team and a very good execution, we can win the game. We can manage this kind of environment. We can manage this kind of challenges in the market, and that was what we thought actually like 10 years ago, and that is what the market thinks still today. This is the formula for success for building new business models. And you can manage this. You can just put enough money into this formula, and then you will somehow come to a pretty nice business models and to pretty nice execution. The interesting thing, the market we are in now tells you that this is not enough. And one of the books that kind of proved it, or this, which gave us a very, very interesting glimpse on the market, was a book from Peter Thiel, who told us that the old manage your success formula in terms of improve, stay lean, be better at the competition, focus on the product is not good anymore. But you need to risk everything. You have to do something, even in the case if you have no plan. You have to focus for being a monopoly in the future, and sales is as relevant as product too. And this comes down to a chart. If you compare it with this chart, which looks a little bit more like this, though. It's the same ingredients. It's idea, product, team, and execution, but it's not a sum anymore. It's a product now. Now it's like idea times product times team times execution, with the random timing constraint is saying you essentially that if you are failing like in one of these ingredients, like team, execution, product, or idea, you have no chance. If you're doing very, very good in all of these ingredients, idea, product, team, execution, if you are doing like a perfect job with all these ingredients, you have a very, very little chance to succeed because you have the timing constraint. There are probably like 10 other businesses out there at the market doing the same, and then the first one or the second one, depends on the business model, probably wins the market. And this is a very, very bad news for corporate companies, because that essentially says that you're not able to manage your success anymore. It's not you can't invest like a year in McKinsey consultants, letting you find the best business model, the best value proposition, and then execute it with money or with other resources, other assets. It's saying you're in the same game as you're in the startup game or in the building a new business game, and it's a matter of coincidence by being successful or being not successful. And this is kind of fostering the idea of becoming, if you're looking at companies, of becoming like a tech platform, a company that is fostering an environment that let the company create new businesses and new revenue streams and new product by coincidence. And that's what bigger companies are trying to achieve these days. And they know, because there's other proof of this theory, that it's not able to manage from the corporate headquarters. Probably some of you heard about. There's a very interesting, it's from the IT research, a very interesting law. It's called Convex law. So any organization that is essentially it says that an organization only kind of reproduces itself in products or in new software. So it's kind of it represents like the communication pattern of the organization, and there's like hundreds of different examples. So probably know that Amazon is a very, very hierarchical, organized organization. So Microsoft has fighting departments between the Windows people and the Office people and like the server people, and Oracle is kind of a very, very big legal department, and there's no products coming out. It actually explains why they are only growing by mergers and acquisition and buying a company. But if you're asking executives in what game they want to be in, they'd prefer a game which is manageable. They'd prefer kind of a setup where they can hire people, where they can invest money with very, very low risk, and they can sign plans and strategies that can be executed during the next years. That's how organizations are built. And right now we are getting to a stadium where all these assets and all these organizational stuff the bigger corporations have achieved are not an asset anymore. It's like it's becoming a legacy. So they need to be like Amazon. They need to be like Facebook anymore. And now companies like Google, they even decided for going one step further, when they said, okay, let's split up the organization and call it Alphabet, and then there's like hundreds of different businesses and departments. They're responsible for themselves, and the headquarters is only kind of the holding structure that is sharing the funds, but it's not involving anymore in the daily business. And that is actually, though, the market and how we the market see. That's actually the reason why we built something like Spryker, where we say, okay, you have to choose what kind of business and what kind of competition you're in. Either you're not in the tech business, you're not competing with your companies and with your peers and in the tech game, finding new mobile strategies, finding new ways to interact with social networks, then go to standard software providers, go to SaaS providers, and let them present your product online. Let them sell your product online. Concentrate like companies like IKEA or Adidas, or concentrate on your brand. Or you're in a business where you're going to compete through personalization, where you're going to compete through better performance of your website, where you're going to compete of getting new ideas out very, very fast to create new revenue streams, to create new products. Then you have to own your software. Then you need like an infrastructure that's only fostering or helping you to build an environment that let your developers build or your product team build new products. And there was so far no software in the market. Though we are more or less competing with in-house or greenfield developments. And instead of doing it via a greenfield project and just get Spring or Symfony or Zen Framework and build everything from scratch, we are like selling a pattern or basis for this kind of game. And it's becoming more and more like an 1 or 0 game. And most companies and most we are seeing they are still here. They say, okay, we kind of lose our business model. We kind of lose our ability to sell our brand through our different channels. We'd like to be in that game. Please help us to get there. And then we're saying, okay, then you need to turn your value chain around. You need to get rid of the idea that IT is a cost center anymore. You need to invest in like people, and you invest in product teams. And then I say, okay, that's a very good idea, but I manage my company with only 3% of our revenues is spent for IT, and I'd like to stay that way. And then we have to say, okay, then you've decided for this game, and then you need to manage your own way out, but you're not taking part in this game. And that's what we are seeing, and that's actually the main reason why most companies that are in a competition with Amazon, Google, and others already in very, very different channels and very different value propositions, they're becoming tech companies today. People don't, and companies don't want to become tech company. I have to be clear about this. So organizations want to stay the same. They have the tendency to just repeat itself over and over, year by year, country by country. But they're forced by the market, by Amazon, by Facebook, by Google, and by others, to become tech-first companies. And that's actually the market we are in. Okay, that was my last chart from the presentation. Now we open for questions. At least not everyone is sleeping, though. I'm very happy to hear that. Questions? Criticism? Yeah, there. That was very hard actually to understand. Have we seen what? I'm just asking a question about content management framework. Yeah. Actually, we are more like everything we do with Spryker is more or less based or focused on the transactional process of company. We're not involved in the PIM game, product information management, or content management. Actually, we're seeing more or less the same leverage or the same opportunities for other value propositions too. Actually, there must be like a product information framework out there, or a framework for content management systems, because what we are essentially saying is we only provide like 80% of the platform or 80% of the technologies you have to use, and you can build everything on top. And that is something people are searching. If you're talking to publishing houses, for example, they're searching for such a solution. They've seen everything. They used like Adobe Q5, WordPress, Typo 3, whatever, and kind of none of these systems worked out for them. And at the end, they're willing to invest in a technology that is giving them the ability to build on top of kind of a content management framework, for example, their own business. Yeah, actually, we're seeing this like in every project we are touching.
The last talk in here was basically saying that technology doesn't matter if it doesn't directly increase revenues or margins, and you could basically use any old shop software. I guess you have a different opinion. Could you go into detail on that?
No, actually, was it Lars telling that? Okay. Yeah, I think that his proposition was, I think in the introduction, that even with Oxid 2003, you can build like an Zalando or About You if it's just about the status it has reached, which is true. But and I think Notebooks Billiger and others, they are kind of a very, very old version of Ecommerce or Ecommerce or others. But the problem is not actually to reach a status quo. I join his argument and say, okay, you can rebuild probably with very old frameworks every website out there. But what we are saying is you have to come to a position where you are able to ship new functionality every day or every week, and where all your product teams are independent and can ship everything, which is actually not possible with these old frameworks. So these are not prepared. But like replacing, actually, I'm pretty sure you can even build like auto.de with an old Oxid 2003, but then it's not manageable anymore. And he's right. If you're investing in this stuff, you have to make money out of it. It doesn't make any sense to just ship and create 10 mobile strategies a month or 10 mobile applications if you don't know how to make a business out of it. In this case, it doesn't make sense to be in the tech game. I agree with him on that. So, no more hands? Then you're free to grab your next coffee. Thank you.